I'm Grant Threlkeld, and this is my EDL 856 Module 16, Parental Apathy. What I know is that Mrs. Rose is the new assistant principal at JFK High School. She is very much enthralled with the idea of positive community relationships. After 4 months on the job, she's wondering about the communication with the community. There is not a parent-teacher organization within the school, although there were these organizations in the past. The principal says that he has a handle on the community involvement through limited conversations with parents, either over the phone or in person. After some time, the principal has decided to look into forming a parental advisory committee, but not a PTO or PTA. What I know is that Mrs. Rose is a new assistant principal. There's limited to no community involvement. Mrs. Rose wants to encourage the involvement with the community, however, is not sensing that her principal is on board with the idea. The principal suggests that he is aware of the community needs and he has agreed to forming a parental advisory group. An announcement was made to share with the parents on parental involvement um, the following Monday. There were 8 parents who showed up for the meeting, and it appears as though the principal does not want to proceed with the meeting. What I need to know is how long has the principal been on the job? And how did he try to reach out to the community in the past? And then what are the superintendent's expectations for communication with the community and community involvement? I need to know, are there other schools in the area? And what does their parental involvement look like? What are they doing that works? There is nothing mentioned in the text about community resources being available. So I need to know what community resources are available and how have they been utilized. I'd like to know, after the initial meeting reminder was sent out, was there any sort of follow-up? I'd like to know how the meeting was advertised. Through the text, it kind of implies that it was advertised through a paper copy sent home with students, but I don't know that for sure. And I'd like to know, what are the viewpoints of the parents? We don't know what the viewpoints are, only what the principal says that their viewpoints are. When it comes to what the problem is, there definitely appears to be a lack of parental involvement. There's also seems to be a lack of motivation on the principal's behalf. He talks about how he's got a grip on what the community needs or wants based on conversations with a few people, but when Mrs. Rose throws ideas out there, he seems to be hesitant, and even mentioning that he's only willing to see if there's interest in forming a parental advisory committee, but not willing to commit to anything concrete. There seems to be little to no outreach to other resources other than the parents. Again, there's no mention of anything in the community when there are opportunities to bring the community in, but we don't know if anything has been done. And there seems to be an issue in how the meeting was presented. It came across as a meeting of to talk about parental involvement, which doesn't necessarily come across in a real positive light. For my proposed plan of action, first of all, we're going to hold the meeting. We're going to start working with the parents that are there to map out a course of action. I would suggest finding out what the goal of the group may be and start working towards their goals. Second, I'd want to see what the expectations are from the district level, and then send out surveys in many forms, paper copies, using social media or a program like SurveyMonkey, even face-to-face conversations to gain better interest in what the community goals are. In addition to finding out what the community goals are, I'd also like to find out what are the interests of the people within the community so that we can start tying them together and maybe tapping into some of their interests, which will bring people into the school and we can work on getting the school out into the community. Fourth, I'd like to survey the students and find out what they like about the school. Because if students are motivated by their school and want to be a part of their school, it's going to inadvertently bring the parents in to the school as well to see what their child is interested in. Fifth, I'd work on how to advertise the meetings and then use it. As mentioned before, it talks about, or it was advertised as a meeting on parental involvement, which can make it sound like they're trying to guilt trip the parents. And no person likes to have their flaws or the things that they're not doing pointed out to them. So I would work on promoting it better as a meeting towards developing community goals or to develop school goals, so that way it brings a more positive light to the parents on what's being accomplished versus having their flaws pointed out to them. Sixth, I would want to work to promote the good things that the school is doing, from successes of the teachers or students to acquiring new technologies to service opportunities within the district and the community, and then reach out to local media to promote those as well, to push those stories out. And then seventh, work to identify the common bonds and interests in the parents and community resources. And if possible, encourage a collaboration between the two. As the old adage goes, many hands makes light work. For strategies, I want to work with the parents who showed up to the meeting to develop a vision for the organization. I would want to work with the parents through the survey to develop a better means of communicating with parents. Again, if the primary mode of communication is through paper copy and that's not working with parents, find out what does work for them, whether it be email or whether it be a mass text or any of any other forms of communication, to find out what works for them to get the message out. I'd want to work with the parents on finding stories that show success of students in the school and community and promote those through the local media and also through the word of mouth. A testimony of how the school is impacting a child can mean a lot more than a negative news story. And so I'd want to work to promote those. I'd want to set concrete dates and times for all future meetings so that parents can plan in advance on attending the meetings and then send out the meeting minutes so that parents know what was discussed, and we can track the accountability and the progress so that if someone were to say the school never gets anything accomplished, we've created a paper trail of what we're doing that is positive for the community. I would also want to work on professional development with the staff members on how to communicate with the community, how to get their messages out from successes in their classrooms so that we can work on the small scale from classrooms to the school to the district to the community and talk about the successes within all of those groups. In resolving the issue of what's best for students, students deserve to have a supportive community inside and outside of the school to help them succeed and to form the relationships that all students need, so that that way any message that's getting carried is getting carried throughout all of the adults who can impact a student, so that students can see that they're cared about and that they're loved, because no person wants to be alone. And the community deserves to know what is happening in the schools to promote better accountability. Again, as some of the readings throughout this class, we've learned that schools can no longer live in a bubble, that they need to promote what they're doing and what they're doing well, and even potentially what some of their challenges are, so that that way the schools and the communities can help each other out. And a parent organization working in the school can be helpful in easing some of the pressure on the school. It can help to develop better learning opportunities as new resources can be tapped into and greater successes seen. With a parent organization, it brings more brains to the table to be able to be creative and to developing the best possible ideas or to acquire even better resources. The facts of the case are, even though there were only a few people at the meeting, it's an opportunity to gain the trust of a few parents versus letting those parents down by wasting their time of having them come to a meeting that isn't happening. If you can start creating a level of confidence with those parents, they can help to create a level of confidence with other parents. Having a parent organization would alleviate some of the pressures on the administration and the staff, as parent volunteers can help out with activities versus relying on the same 10 to 12 staff members to complete and run every single activity. And then the school and community needs a leader who can promote the positive relationship. The principal needs to catch that vision or to be replaced. As previously mentioned, this principal doesn't seem to be involved, and the only way that the community is going to be involved is if there's somebody who's reaching out to them as well. If the school closes its doors or its walls to the community, who is going to be able to break those down? They need an effective leader. What are my thoughts and feelings on this problem? Initially, I had thoughts and feelings of frustration with the principal, some confusion on the part of the parents and other stakeholders, and sadness for the students and all others in the community. My frustration with the principal is he seems very content with the status quo and doesn't seem to want to listen to differing ideas. It seems like Mrs. Rose wants to help him out in promoting effective relationships with the community, and he doesn't seem interested in it. My confusion on the community's behalf is that at one point in time, they had parent organizations and there seemed to be more involvement, and yet that's kind of died down. So I'm wondering what changed and why. Because even if the principal doesn't want to do something, if the community wants it and starts raising enough noise, there's going to be a change. There's going to be something that's going to happen. Either the principal is going to change or the district's going to see that they need to make a change in the principal. And my sadness comes from my own personal experience of seeing what can happen when the community is involved and the bonds that can be created. And right now, the students, the staff, and the community aren't having those opportunities to build each other up and to create positive relationships. My unresolved questions are how long will the principal allow a parent advisory committee to last? If the principal is not willing to change, is the superintendent willing to make a change? Is the Board of Education willing to work on more concrete policies on communication with parents? Will those 8 parents that showed up to the meeting be able to affect other parents? And will the school help in recruiting other parents to the meetings, whether that be through the surveys and finding those common interests and reaching out to them, or through just advertising better? And how soon will local communities be willing to join the cause? Will they want to see proof that this PTO, PTA is going to last, or will they be willing to jump in from the beginning? When it comes to promoting student success, through creating a parent organization, it creates accountability and it also provides additional resources which can help out with student success. Through surveying the community and the students, it gives the students uh, and it gives it a greater purpose in that we'll know what is going well and isn't going well within the school. And it unlocks new resources for the community. Through promoting student well-being, again, as previously mentioned, it opens new resources as each person has access to different resources. It builds a sense of community pride as more people are playing a role in the success of students. And it creates greater accountability because with more people being involved in the process means that more people are going to know what's going to happen and can expect certain things. When it comes to community engagement, information is the key, and through providing more information, um, the students and staff and community are going to be more involved because they're going to know more. This also includes the media. Through starting a working relationship, it can help to promote a positive light in which that the school is seen, and which can promote more involvement. And collaboration leads to innovation. Through talking with other people, we're going to be able to come up with better ideas versus relying on only the brains within the school, which will create a better school community. Thanks for watching.